Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, we all know that health in Scotland is a devolved matter, entirely within the bailiwick of the Scottish Government. The UK Government has no say whatsoever. And that, of course, is why it's in such an appalling state. It's why the NHS in Scotland has the longest waiting list, is just generally the worst. And so, because it is purely a devolved matter, and for the last 16 years has been entirely controlled by the SNP, and is now beyond probably repair, somebody has to take the blame. Now, obviously, it can't be the SNP fault. No. They're not the ones that have destroyed the NHS. They're not the ones that have done everything they can to utterly undermine the staff, to bully them, to remove their rights and freedoms, to remove any kind of whistleblowing. That any kind of criticism of senior management is met with disciplinaries immediately. People are being silenced. People are being spied on. But none of this is the fault of the NHS. No. Because Nicola Sturgeon has crawled out from under whatever stone she's been hiding under recently to issue the following statement. It was all Westminster's fault. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? It's your fault, Nicola. 100% your fault. And now Humza's fault. You got to look at who you put in charge of the health service. Your shipman sister, yeah? Jean Freeman, Humza Yousaf, and now Gilruth. God help the people of Scotland who need to go to hospital. That's all I can say. We're going to take a look at this article and look at the sheer neck that the world's most awful dwarf has in coming out with saying this. Here goes. Now this is just ludicrous beyond the point of parody, isn't it? Shameless Nicola Sturgeon blames Westminster for NHS Scotland chaos. 16 years of SNP rule and complete control of health in Scotland in the hands of the SNP. And she has the sheer neck to blame Westminster. The only fault that you can lay at Westminster's door was Westminster's folly in giving Scotland a government that could control things like the NHS. So the former First Minister claimed that the UK government were to blame for issues in Scotland's health service as they were underfunding it, despite it being a devolved matter. They don't get a penny. Sure, they don't get anything from the central government for the NHS because you get it as part of all your money. You get it as part of the old Barnett money. How you spend the money is up to you. You spend it on independence leaflets every 3 weeks instead of putting it into the NHS. You spend it on foreign bloody embassies instead of putting it into the NHS. Even the money you put into the NHS, you're spending £8.5 million a month on spin doctors instead of real doctors. So cut the cob, you lying two-faced toad. And isn't she looking very old? That's what police inquiries do. She is looking haggard. She's turning increasingly into Alex Salmond. My God. Right. Former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has been accused of shameless spin after she blamed chaos in Scotland's NHS on a lack of Westminster funding, complete and under BS. She was speaking out of her backside. She was speaking out as the health service was celebrating its 75th year. 75th and last year, I think, in Scotland. But instead of admitting the fault due to her Scottish government being in charge for the last 16 years, she instead laid blame on the Tories, despite it being a devolved matter. And also, it was Labour who put up the Scottish Parliament and gave you complete control of it. So you can hardly blame the Tories for that. The SNP administration has been dogged by the poor performance of the NHS, with records for A&E waiting times and delayed discharges being broken on their watch. They make shit hospitals, they make them badly, they fill them with disease, and that's before a patient goes in. You've got your moulds, you've got your pigeon droppings, you've got the wrong kind of ingredients going into the AC stuff. You build them on the wrong site. There's water supply problems. You've got Legionnaire's disease in Paisley, for heaven's sake. So you're building shit hospitals, and then you're not employing enough staff. You refuse to pay for more nursing care. You're cutting doctors everywhere. You then moan that the hospitals aren't coping. Meanwhile, you are spending millions on anything other than doing your day job of looking after the NHS. It's all independence, independence, independence. Of course it's a joke. Anyway, despite this, and you keep putting in complete non-entities and wankers and fuckwits into the role of health minister. Get someone in there who knows something, but you can't. You're the SNP. None of you have got a bloody brain cell. Anyway, despite this, Miss Sturgeon lavished praise on her health secretary, Humza Yousaf, for managing to avoid any strikes in the sector. He did that by giving them a massive pay rise because he hasn't got the balls to stand up to them. But she did not mention any of the poor records which the SNP have presided over, including longer cancer waiting times and Scots being forced to wait years for routine operations. The NHS in Scotland is worse, and this is absolutely genuinely true. It is worse than some third world countries. Well done, SNP. You've equalised everything. You've made Scotland a third world health service. Well done to you. I remember the immortal words of Tommy Dockett, and he was talking, he says, I was brought into QPR, and I said at the beginning, I said to the owners, I said, I'll get you out of this league. He says, no fear. He said, they're in Division 2. He said, I'll get you out of this league. And he did. He got them into Division 3. And NHS has done exactly the same under the SNP. She outlined 3 key proposals she believed her party should push through, including valuing NHS staff. That's a fucking joke. Have you seen what they're doing to NHS staff? I mean, you've listened to Leslie Roberts on this channel. She's telling you the things that they're doing to NHS staff, spying on them, cancelling them, firing them, mass walkouts. They're telling them lies, and then when they complain that they're being told lies, they're told that they are terrible people. There's people being suspended left, right and centre for standing up for people. It is disgusting. So that's a bullshit line, valuing NHS staff. The only people they value are senior managers. And he said by offering them good pay. Well, they haven't. They just haven't. She said, and by pressing ahead with vital reforms. There's only one vital reform that will save the NHS in Scotland, and that is to get rid of the SNP. She said her final recommendation was to carry on with the National Care Service, which is already highly derided, over budget, late for service, and is estimated not to help less than 10% of the people it's designed to help. But it's like everything else with the SNP. It's just pointless, useless, and has no bearing on reality. She claimed in her Glasgow Times article that the negative aspects of the Scotland's NHS was the fault of Westminster. Really? How do you justify that? She wrote, better alignment of health and social care and more consistent standards across social care is the purpose of the proposed National Care Service. All these reforms, she said, are vital. But to cope with rising demand, the NHS also needs to step up in capacity, and that requires a significant injection of extra cash. You've got loads of cash. We know that because you're fucking it away on things like embassies. Don't give me that shit. She is full of it, isn't she? How can something that short have so much shit inside it? She's like the TARDIS. Same colour in that picture, isn't she? Bigger on the inside. It's where she stores all the bullshit. But as Westminster still holds the purse strings, it doesn't. It needs to act. It doesn't. To do so would be right, but it might also allay fears that some right-wing Tory politicians are happy to let the NHS wither. No Tory MP is willing to do that. She really is creating division where none exists. No Tories want the NHS out, right? Absolutely not. And I'm not a Tory supporter, you know. I have a go at all parties, but truth is truth, and no Tory is anti-NHS. I'm actually anti-NHS in its own current form. I believe it should be completely dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up, but with patients at the front end, not management. But that's not being against the NHS in principle, and no Tory is, for Christ's sake. Anyway, she said to get into it. The Scottish Tories blasted her as shameless and stupid for attempting to blame the UK government for her own failures. Scottish Conservative Deputy Cabinet Secretary of Health and Social Care, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Tess White, MSP, told the Scottish Daily Express, this is some shameless spin from Nicola Sturgeon. The former First Minister and Health Secretary knows fine well responsibility for Scotland's NHS is fully devolved. She is typically deflecting the blame elsewhere to avoid discussing the SNP's woeful record on health. Successive SNP health secretaries have not met cancer waiting time targets for a decade. Here's the thing, in Scotland, if you get an insert cancer of choice for any of the common cancers, effectively, you are, I think the figure was something like 6 times more likely to die than you are in England. And it isn't that the treatment's any different. It's just that the delay in getting to you means the cancer spreads more before they can begin treatment. And with cancer, even days can matter. And if you get them, put it this way, why is more stage 4 cancer detected in Scotland than detected in England relatively per head of population? It's because by the time people get seen, more of them have got stage 4. And by stage 4, that is the end, my friend. And that is Nicola Sturgeon. That's entirely the SNP. The SNP causing cancer deaths on the thousands in the scale. But I'm wondering if that isn't deliberate. It's just a way of getting rid of people, the ill, get rid of them. Don't try and cure them, that costs. Let them get to stage 4. It's easier to just give them palliative care. Wouldn't surprise me. Her and Freeman did a marvellous job at clearing that backlog, didn't they? Oh, we need 1,000 beds gone. Oh, bang. In a month, they've gone. Strange that. Really strange. And then thousands more. Thousands. All can be laid at their door. So I suspect the cancer thing is probably deliberate. I wouldn't put that past them. She is that evil. She is disgusting human filth. Absolutely hate her. Anyway, I'll stop now because I don't want to let you all know exactly how I feel towards her. Because it's a secret. It's a very close kept secret. Don't want you to know. Anyone going to come up? At some point in the future, people will be looking back on these days. They'll be reading the textbooks and they'll be going, why didn't we, us, recognise Nicola Sturgeon for the monster she is? Well, we do. She is a monster. We're seeing it. We know what she's done. But we haven't stopped her yet. But that could be soon too. When you see the damage she's done, she is no different. I mean, her party, nothing is no different than what was going on 80 years ago in Germany. The Scottish National Socialist Party varies very little with the National Socialist Party. It's just a different country and a different era. But their aims seem to be the same. Their methods are the same. They both are filled with hate and division, and they're blaming everything on the others. In Germany it was the Jews, in the SNP it's the English. The Germans got rid of millions of people. She's only managed thousands, but at least we've stopped her before it turned to millions. She is a loathsome, odious, crawling insect. She is nothing, and I just hope she spends the rest of her life in a jail cell, 6x9, with another man. That'll teach her. That'll be fun. Here's hoping. I'm going to stop now. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see in here on the channel, do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, stay out of an SNP run hospital, and remember, Dr. Mengele would be proud of Nicola Sturgeon. Bye.